Housing crisis in Canada. Will reducing temporary immigration make it worse? Welcome to Canada Chronicles. Today, we're exploring a major policy shift that's shaking up the nation. Canada is reducing temporary immigration to address its severe housing crisis, but what does this mean for the future? Will this move bring the relief we need or create new challenges? Stay tuned as we break down the details, explore potential impacts, and discuss what lies ahead. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates on Canada's latest news and insights. Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think this policy change will affect the housing market? Canada, known for its welcoming stance towards immigrants, has recently made a significant policy shift by deciding to reduce the influx of temporary immigrants as a measure to combat its escalating housing crisis. This bold move reflects a strategic response to the housing shortage that has been deepening across the nation. This video explores the details of this policy change, its potential impacts, and the broader context within which this decision has been made. Understanding the housing crisis. Canada's housing market has been under severe strain for several years. The country has experienced a sharp increase in both home prices and rental costs, leading to widespread concerns about housing affordability. Major urban centers such as Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal are particularly affected, with housing costs reaching levels that are increasingly out of reach for many Canadians. The crisis has been exacerbated by a combination of factors, including rapid population growth, insufficient housing supply, and speculative real estate practices. The rising cost of living has placed immense pressure on Canadian families, many of whom are struggling to find affordable and suitable housing. The shortage of affordable housing has not only impacted prospective homeowners but also renters, who face skyrocketing rents and limited availability. The situation has prompted urgent calls from various stakeholders, including policymakers, advocacy groups, and the general public, for effective solutions to address the crisis. The policy shift, reducing temporary immigration. In response to the mounting pressures of the housing crisis, the Canadian government has announced a reduction in the number of temporary immigrants allowed to enter the country. Temporary immigrants include individuals who come to Canada on work permits, study permits, and visitor visas. This segment of the population has been growing steadily, contributing to increased demand for housing in major cities. The policy change is aimed at curbing the rapid influx of temporary immigrants, thereby alleviating some of the immediate pressures on the housing market. The government's decision reflects a recognition that the growing number of temporary residents has been a contributing factor to the housing shortage, as these individuals compete for the same housing resources as permanent residents and Canadian citizens. Rationale behind the policy. The rationale for this policy shift is grounded in several key considerations. Firstly, by reducing the number of temporary immigrants, the government hopes to decrease the demand for housing in the short term. This reduction in demand is expected to help balance the housing market, providing some relief to those already struggling to secure affordable housing. Secondly, the policy change is intended to buy time for the implementation of more comprehensive and long-term solutions to the housing crisis. While reducing temporary immigration addresses an immediate concern, the government is also working on strategies to increase the housing supply, improve affordability, and address systemic issues affecting the housing market. Implications for temporary immigrants. The reduction in temporary immigration will have several implications for those affected by the policy. For individuals currently residing in Canada on temporary permits, there may be uncertainty regarding their future status. Those seeking to extend their stay or transition to permanent residency could face challenges as the policy takes effect. International students, who have traditionally been a significant portion of the temporary immigrant population, may experience increased difficulty in obtaining study permits. These students contribute greatly to Canadian educational institutions and local economies, and any reduction in their numbers could have broader implications for the higher education sector. Similarly, skilled workers who come to Canada on temporary work permits play a crucial role in various industries, including healthcare, technology, and agriculture. A reduction in the number of temporary work permits could lead to labor shortages in sectors that rely heavily on this workforce, potentially affecting productivity and service delivery. Economic and social impacts. The reduction in temporary immigration is likely to have both economic and social impacts. Economically, industries that depend on temporary immigrants may face challenges in filling labor gaps. Sectors such as hospitality, agriculture, and healthcare could experience disruptions, as temporary workers often occupy roles that are essential to their operations. Socially, the policy could influence the demographic and cultural landscape of Canadian cities. Temporary immigrants contribute to the diversity and vibrancy of urban centers, and a reduction in their numbers may alter the social fabric of these communities. The change could also affect cultural exchange and international relations, as Canada's image as a welcoming and inclusive nation may be perceived differently. Broader context of immigration policy. The reduction in temporary immigration is part of a broader discussion about Canada's immigration policy. Historically, Canada has been known for its open approach to immigration, valuing the contributions of immigrants to its economic growth and cultural diversity. The country's immigration policies have been designed to attract skilled workers, entrepreneurs, and international students, recognizing their role in driving innovation and addressing labor market needs. However, as the housing crisis has worsened, there has been increased scrutiny of the impact of high immigration levels on housing and other infrastructure. The government's decision to reduce temporary immigration reflects a balancing act between maintaining Canada's reputation as a diverse and inclusive country and addressing the urgent needs of its current residents. Long-term solutions and future outlook. The policy change regarding temporary immigration is not intended to be a permanent solution but rather a temporary measure to provide relief while more comprehensive strategies are developed. The Canadian government is expected to focus on several key areas to address the housing crisis in the long term. 1. Increasing housing supply. One of the primary long-term strategies is to accelerate the construction of new homes and apartments, particularly affordable housing. This involves working with developers, revising zoning regulations, and investing in infrastructure to support new housing projects. 2. Improving housing affordability. The government is likely to implement policies aimed at making housing more affordable for low and middle-income families. Measures such as rent control, housing subsidies, and increased support for first-time homebuyers could help alleviate some of the financial pressures faced by residents. 3. Enhancing urban planning. Effective urban planning can optimize the use of available land and resources. Promoting higher density housing, improving public transportation, and ensuring that new developments are well integrated into existing communities are key components of a strategic approach to urban growth. 4. Addressing systemic issues. Tackling underlying issues such as income inequality and housing market speculation is also crucial for creating a stable and affordable housing market. Addressing these systemic factors can help prevent future housing crises and ensure long-term sustainability. Canada's decision to reduce temporary immigration represents a significant policy shift in response to the ongoing housing crisis. While this measure is aimed at providing immediate relief by easing the pressure on the housing market, it is part of a broader strategy to address the complex and multifaceted issues affecting housing affordability and availability. The success of this approach will depend on how effectively the government can implement long-term solutions to the housing crisis while balancing the need to maintain Canada's reputation as an inclusive and welcoming nation. As the situation evolves, it will be essential for policymakers to stay responsive to the needs of both current residents and prospective immigrants, ensuring that Canada remains a desirable destination for those seeking new opportunities while addressing the pressing issues of housing affordability and supply. Thanks for tuning into Canada Chronicles. We've just scratched the surface of this major policy shift and its potential impacts on Canada's housing crisis. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. For more updates and in-depth analysis on Canada's latest news, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring and stay informed with Canada Chronicles.